the Samsung Galaxy A22 5G. So this is on 91 mobiles. We've seen some renders of it, and we've also got some leaked information. So there's supposedly going to be two models. There's going to be a 4G model. There's going to be a 5G model, right? Both of them are going to have a 6.4-inch display, but according to this, the 4G model is going to have an AMOLED display, whereas the 5G model is going to have an LCD display. Okay? The 4G model is going to have the MediaTek Helio G80, whereas the 5G model is going to have the MediaTek Dimensity 700. Yeah. For the cameras, the 4G model is going to have a 48 megapixel primary camera. It looks like it's 5 megapixel potentially ultra wide, and then two megapixel cameras, which are pointless. And then the 5G model is going to have three cameras. It's not going to have four, so it's going to have a 48 megapixel primary camera, 5 megapixel, but then it's only going to have one of those, useless 2 megapixel cameras. One thing that is going to be similar on both is going to have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery with 15 watt fast charging. Now, just taking a look at some of these renders, I mean, it's a very simple sort of design. It's likely to have a plastic back, of course. We've got a few different color options available. There's a square camera module. It's a nice, simple design. And for the screen, we can see a bit of a notch. It's more of a teardrop on the 4G model, I believe. And it's more of a, just like a little punch notch. It's not punch out, sorry. It's just, it's like more of a cut out notch. I don't know how to explain it. You can see it on screen if you're watching the video.
Yeah. It's. I'd say you're right.
Yeah. So you've got slight variations in the 4G and 5G model, but yeah, I mean, the Samsung A series, it's so funny because, we don't cover as many Samsung A series devices. I'm hoping to be covering more. Sorry, guys. They're so popular. They're so popular, especially in places like Brazil, and a lot of users who, really cannot afford those premium flagship devices. And we've talked about this before, where you have these, premium flagships like the S21 series, but they don't actually sell the most. It's the lower end devices that actually sell the most in terms of numbers, right? The S21 series kind of like gets the attention, the headlines, but then when it actually comes to the distribution, it's usually the A series, right? And I've had a few friends kind of contact me in the past saying, oh, I want a phone for $200, right? And you're kind of looking at the options, and you've got lots of, Realme's, you've got TCL. There's so many of these budget phone options which offer you a lot of bang for your buck. Infinix is a new one that's coming up on the market. But then a lot of people are kind of just familiar with Samsung. So they're just like, oh, I just want another Samsung, right? And this is where the A series comes in. So, initial impressions for me, I think, they look pretty promising. We don't really have much information around price, but I think these are going to sell us like hotcakes.
I think in terms of price, since this is the A22, the A32, if I'm not mistaken, is currently priced at around 250.
Okay.
So this should be a sub $200 phone.
Yeah, so we're looking at around the $200 mark. It might be just around a little bit more, maybe 229 or something like that. But that's still really good.
So the A32 5G is currently priced at $279. Okay. So you're looking at something that, will be the 4G version will be definitely under 200, and maybe the 5G version might be 220, 210, maybe just a little bit shy up there, which is good. I like the simple design, and I think you can still see some of that Galaxy design language, not much, but just some of it in there. And it grows as you get to the A52 and the A72. Then it really feels like a Galaxy device. And the one thing I would say with the A series line, in comparison to all the other competitors you mentioned, is Poco gives a bang for the buck. You have devices that have like an $800 series chipset from Qualcomm. Samsung has decided to bring a lot of the Samsung balance to the device. So you pick up an A series, you're like, yeah, it feels like a Galaxy software-wise. Okay, I get it. It may not be as powerful as some of the others, but the feeling is there. And I think they're riding that wave. And a lot of people like the A series, The A50 is their best selling device, period. For Samsung. So I think they realize that they can make more in that area. And then also a lot of people now, also times are hard. Like, give people a bang for a buck, they'll definitely appreciate it.
No, totally. And I mean, they look promising. The one thing that I don't like, and this is something I've said many times before, is I don't like it when there's a device that is just called 5G, right? Which, from a consumer point of view, appears that it's all it is the same device but with 5G, right? But then it's a different device. There's like slightly different display. There's maybe different camera setup. There's, and I don't like that. I mean, I think you should name it something different because, yes, you might have the A22, but then, you might want to call it the A23. I don't know, right? Okay, because then that indicates to you that it's a different device. Because this is something that I think Google, really made a mess up of, because you had the Google Pixel 4a, and then you had the Google Pixel 5, and then you had the Google Pixel 4a 5G, which kind of, to a lot of people on the face of it, it's just like, oh, that's just a 4a with 5G. I don't want to pay $200 more for that, or whatever it was, right? But then when you actually look at it, it was closer to the 5, so it was more like a Google Pixel 5, again, I don't know what the naming is, but like for me, 4a
Google
5G,
Pixel 4.5. That's really what it was.
I mean, what that's what it was, right? So then I just think the naming of, and it's happening a lot, right? Because, I recently covered some Realme devices, and a lot of people were saying, oh, there's a Realme 8, there's a Realme 8 Pro. Okay, so there's a difference there because we've got the Pro device, we've got the 8. But then you've got the Realme 8 5G, which is not just the Realme 8 with 5G. It's a very different device, right? But to customers, it's not that clear, because you look at a device, you see the word 5G on top of it. You're just like, because 5G is not, 5G is a technology which, refers to connectivity. It doesn't necessarily mean that you've got a better screen, to consumers. So my message to all manufacturers would be, if you've got a 5G device which just has 5G, OnePlus had that. They had the OnePlus, when they initially introduced 5G, the OnePlus 8 they had, OnePlus 7, and they had the OnePlus 7 5G. And the OnePlus 7 5G was literally that. It was a OnePlus 7 with 5G, okay? Maybe they had a slightly different color, that's fine. You don't really need something different for that. But if you've got fundamental features like the screen, like the camera, and, charging, etc., that's different, then it should be named accordingly, in my opinion.
No, I agree. Yeah.
That's all he's gonna say. The man of a few words. So manufacturers, if you're listening, stop naming your devices 5G unless they are literally offering that as an additional feature. I hope you enjoyed that clip. If you want to hear the full podcast episode, then that will be linked down below. And if you want to see more clips like this, then be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss them. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf Speaks, and I'll see you next time.